Google Analytics 4 seems to be a pretty compelling step forward for Google in how they're allowing users to collect, analytics for websites and applications, make it easier for you to future-proof how you're able to collect that data and work with it, even without having cookies and that sort of thing, which I think is pretty amazing. But these are all pretty important improvements to Google Analytics, so we're going to devote a whole strategy chat to that subject today, and I think we're going to dive straight into that. So let's take it, guys.
All right, so Justin, these past few weeks, you and I have been looking at Google Analytics 4 quite a bit, and we've noticed there are some pretty cool new features. Just on a high level point of view, can you explain some of those new features and how they're a little bit different?
Yeah, some of the new exciting features in Google Analytics 4 is event editing. In the past, you would have to have your developer go out and create these events in code and deploy them to your site. No longer do we need to do that. You can create the event directly inside of Google Analytics, relate that through Google Tag Manager, and then automatically you have it deployed and working within the same system without having to wait on your developer to deploy code and then test that code. So this is all can be all implemented in the UI and tested through the UI. The next one, sorry, do you have anything to say on that?
No, I was just listening.
Oh, okay, awesome. So data importing is the next big thing that we have. The ability to import data that cannot be collected through, such an app or web. This could be something such as a point of sale system, at your place of work. It can be, you can have Google Analytics installed on there, and then upload that data later so that you can use that with, web data, app data. You can compare them together, or just compare them separately. The next one would be cross-domain measurement. So implementing analytics across all of your websites. So if you have domains that span multiple companies, or if you have a login portal and you need to track that stuff, you can easily set this up through the UI, tracking across all of your domains. And again, those analytics can be converted and compiled into one report across all of your domains, or you can look at them as a separately. The next thing is lifecycle reporting. So in the past, users were recorded when they came to the site. Now the reporting is based on the life cycle of a user, not just the visit that they had. So you're actually going to get when the user first visited the site, and then also when they have come back and how they've interacted through your site through the lifetime of the user.
That is fantastic. Cool.
Yes. So, and also with the lifecycle reporting, that's something that was really requested, was e-commerce reporting that helps you understand how your sales funnels are performing. And then the last thing we have as new features is migration tools. So Google has created tools that make it easy for you to get started with Google Analytics 4. The migration assistant will copy all your applicable settings from your universal analytics property to your new Google Analytics 4 property.
Awesome. That is really cool. It sounds like there's a lot that's changed. And I mean, I'm kind of hoping that some of the stuff that we're used to is still there, but it kind of seems like there's some other ways around it. I know that when we were looking at goals earlier in the week, those are set up a little differently. And can you kind of go into that? Like, how is setting up goals? Is that going to be different? Is it going to be a little bit more difficult? What did you see with that?
So goals are kind of tracked differently in Google Analytics. They're all kind of created as events now, is what they kind of referred to. So Google Analytics 4 comes out of the box with a list of 5 different events that are automatically tracked for a user when you create your Google Analytics 4 account. So those default events are click, first visit, like I mentioned earlier, page view, when a user scrolls, and the session start. So these events inside the backend can be set as conversions. And let's go ahead and you can pull up my screen now, David, and I will go ahead and show how those can be set up. Let me just find that screen. So as we were talking here, you can see click, first visit, page view, scroll, and session start are all kind of these default events that are created when you set up your Google Analytics 4 account. But you can see we have a couple of custom ones here, all calls and then thank you page visits. You can easily mark any of these as a conversion, but you necessarily would not want to mark these default ones as conversion, because you're not really going to get useful insights from just a user clicking. What you can do is you can create custom events that allow you to chain these events together. So if we were taking a look at, say, our thank you page, the event name that we're triggering on is when a user views a page. So that's a kind of the default event that they have. And then all we're doing is basically saying if they have another event in here called page location, and if it ends in thank you, then we're recording that as an event. So these events are very easy to set up. And then also, Google also allows for kind of these common events that are set up through your site. So, and we'll talk a little bit more about those in the machine learning question. So also, as I mentioned before, that custom events can be set up, and there's no you don't need your developer to go into the code to go ahead and write that out. You would just go into the UI. And let me go ahead and share that Google Tag Manager screen, and I can show you exactly how you would just easily implement a custom event inside of Google Tag Manager. And I just pulled that one up. So inside of Google Tag Manager, we talked about creating a custom event through the UI. It is as simple as creating a new tag inside of Google Tag Manager, creating a tag configuration, and then creating a GA4 event. This event name that you put inside of Google Tag Manager will then show up inside of Google Analytics, and then you can act upon that event whenever you would like, depending on the conversion that you would like to set.
Hi, this is Sarah from Denverdata Web. Thanks for watching. Please like our video and subscribe for future digital strategy chats. You can also visit our website at denverdata.com or find us on social media at Denverdata Web.